Drummers I Like podcast, episode number 34. Hey everybody, welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, Richard Ducat, and today I have both my lovely co-hosts with me, Kevin Charlelli and Jamie Gamble. How you guys doing
tonight?
Lovely?
Did you say lovely co-host?
I did. My lovely co-hosts.
Lovely. We're lovely, Jamie.
Hysterical.
Oh, what a way to start the show, man.
Great.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
So how's it going, guys?
It's a good day. It's a good day. At least as it is on the East Coast. How about for you West Coast guys?
Hey man, it's going good out here. We got some sun finally. It's not storming. We don't have a monsoon going anymore. So
right. From what Richard was telling me, I mean, he was talking like it sounded like you guys were hitting temperatures like the Northeast over there.
yeah, they said one day it was actually colder than New York.
Yeah,
crazy.
that was nuts.
What the heck's going on in California? Trying to freeze you off the map?
Man. Trading
Weather,
places.
Trading places. That's good stuff.
And I walked my dog at like 5:30 in the morning, and I'm not kidding you. It was 32 degrees out. The roads and like the dew on the grass had frozen. It was wild, wild. I mean, the rain on top it off. I don't know if you've been seeing the hail. I had to go through the mountain the other day, and I guess the mountain must have fallen apart because I got all the way to the end of the 27, and they stopped everybody and made everyone turn around. And as I'm turning around, I'm watching in my rear view the mountain falling apart and hail coming down. It was insane.
Wow.
Like the mudslide was so bad you could see it. It was so apparent.
Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah. That's when it gets crazy right there.
Yeah,
that's
man.
right.
Yeah. So today's show, everybody, today's purpose of the show is I want to talk about our experience at N.A.M.M. Unfortunately, Kevin could not make it, but I got to go on Thursday and spend the day there, and I know that Jamie got to spend the entire week there. So I think there's a lot to talk about. I want to go over some of the products I saw, some of the companies that I got to touch base with, some of the people that I got to meet. You know, overall, I think that between me and Jamie, we probably saw and had some crazy experiences because I've only been to N.A.M.M. twice. And this year blew last year out of the water.
And not to mention, it was raining and it still blew last year out of the water. Just to let you know.
See, I didn't deal with that. See, I only went Thursday, and it was sunny and nice out all day. And I was trying to make it Friday, but I was just too caught up with work. But when I was looking at the photos, everyone had umbrellas all covered up. It was soaking wet. I was like, oof, don't want to miss that one.
Yeah, you steered clear of that one because when I say that was a good old tsunami. Yeah, it was great though. Yeah.
Good, Kevin. I'm sorry you didn't get to make it, my friend.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's everything I've had going on has been such a whirlwind that it's definitely had to keep me over here on the right coast. But I've had an interesting week in drums. And I'm glad we have Jamie on the show today because I got to share an experience with him just to see if he's ever experienced it or seen anything like it. But just to bring Jamie in the loop too, I'm playing in a rock cover band that I've started playing in the middle of December, and they gig a lot. It's in January here every weekend. I played every Friday and Saturday, so it's been just a weekly thing, and. And last weekend we played a couple nights in Orlando, and
this story.
Richard knows this, but there was a guy there that was having a really good time, and early in the set he made it rain dollar bills on the stage.
Wow!
And he did that, And then he proceeded throughout the night to do it a total of 4 times. And on the last time, our guitar player noticed they were 100 stacks. So the guy ended up tipping us $400, but doing it all in singles all over the stage.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it was definitely a first.
It's been raining all week, huh?
I guess so. It was even raining over here. But I've just got to say, I mean, have you ever seen anything like that? Because all of us as musicians and everybody that worked at the bar and everybody's like, I ain't never seen anything like this. Like, I ain't never seen a guy go that crazy and just start throwing bills. So
I've seen it drizzle, but I don't know that. Again, when you got an extra $400 in tips for the band above what you got.
Oh, I know. We were ecstatic.
That's really nice.
It was. Yeah. It was. I mean, the guy was.
That weather's pretty good.
Yeah. No. And the dude was super nice. I mean, he was having a great time, and of course, we all made sure we spent some time with him and talked with him, and he was a really cool dude. He was a Packers fan, and I'm a Minnesota fan, so I didn't bring that up or anything like that. So, I didn't want to make it rain any harder, but
right.
But yeah, so that was an interesting highlight of my last drumming weekend. So that was pretty cool. I mean, definitely not something you can expect, night in or night out. But it was a pleasant surprise.
Y'all must have been smacked.
Well, I mean,
hard then if it rained.
It's been tough because it's been like a month of learning a bunch of songs. So I mean, I felt like we played well the whole weekend, but I'm notoriously hard on myself, so I of course have plenty of things in the night that I wasn't satisfied with, but I think we did overall pretty well as a band. We're starting to gel, and it's starting to kind of we're starting to have that chemistry together, which we've needed desperately, because it's just been show after show, and also new that everybody's just trying to do it on the fly. So it's been a bit stressful. So
it's cool though. It's cool. It's a good problem. Good problem to have.
Yeah, it is. It is a good problem to have. I have embraced it, and it's got me playing much more than I was in the past. So I can't argue with that.
I wouldn't complain either, to be honest.
Yeah, and not to mention that it's it's a little extra. It's nice extra cash. So can't argue there.
Cannot argue with getting paid for playing the drums. So your week went good. How's your week going, Jamie? Anything big? Next to N.A.M.M?
We'll say this. Like I said, yeah, NAMM was crazy. Really, really productive 4 days. Got a lot of companies on board. I guess we'll do the unveiling the next show, but I got a lot of stuff done. A lot of shifts got changed as far as a lot of shifts happened, and a lot of changes have been made as far as the companies that I'm endorsing. And I'm talking about some companies I've been with for years. Now you guys already know about Impact Symbols, and I'm the West Coast artist rep for that. But myself and the founder of that company got a lot of stuff going on with other companies. And y'all be hearing about it. Stay tuned, stand by. But got a lot of stuff done. Really great week. Working on a record with Trinity Stokes, with the founder of Impact Symbols as well. He's a well-renowned producer, writer, and everything. So we got a single coming out on her. Did drum programming and live bass actually on that record. So it's been pretty weak, like really, like kind of nonstop, like late nights, late days. But it's been really, really great. It's been good. So a lot of good stuff happening, man. Like I said, y'all stand by out there because it's going to be some changes. I'm talking about drums, sticks, everything. Drum heads. Yeah, it's about to be Christmas again.
Right. I think everyone's looking forward to that, man. I can't wait.
Wait
to talk about it.
Absolutely. I agree wholeheartedly.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone had a very productive week. I am actually in the middle of moving right now, so my house is in boxes, and I'm podcasting in my son's bed. Actually, I'm usually in an office space, but I have all my drums stacked around me, and I'm trying to make the best use of the audio situation I have right now. But it's I think it was a crazy week. I was excited that I got a chance to even make that one day in NAMM, and it was wild. I don't know, a lot of our listeners. I ran into a couple people that listened to the show. I ran into a lot of bigger guys that we talked to on Instagram. A lot of the old show guests. I got to meet a lot of people in person, and I think the best part for me to top it off is that not Thursday night, but Friday night, I actually got to go spend some time over at the Drum School LA. It's actually run by a gentleman named Evan Ryans, and him and Earl Talbot, also known as Wabadi on Instagram, did like a little live lesson. So I got to jam with at the LA Drum School with Evan Ryans, Earl Talbot, Jessica Bordeaux. I got to jam with Joey Bones, friend Gary, who was a phenomenal drummer, and then I ended up meeting a gentleman named Phil, also known on Instagram as Drumlicks. This dude is so insane at drumming. I'm sitting here getting a lesson from Earl Talbot on independence and triplets, and this guy is slaying it, and he is acting like super nonchalant about it. I didn't even realize how much of a shredder he was. When I finally went and looked on his Instagram tag, I started going through his page, and he can play anything you want. Anything in the world, this guy can play it. He's got so much independence. He's got polyrhythms on lock. This kid is just so good at drums, and I didn't realize that, I already felt pretty amazing to be in the room with such amazing players, but, he was just insane, and he was picking up Earl's methods like it was nothing, while the rest of us, or me, myself at least, were struggling to get some of these ideas down. But it was a good experience, a good organic experience, and it opened up the doors. I didn't realize that Evan Ryan had this awesome place to go jam, which he invited all of us. Sorry, Kevin, you can't come to come jam anytime and really hang out and enjoy it. Because I mean, Jamie can definitely back me up on this, but I'm sure it's just really hard to find rehearsal space at a good price in Los Angeles and in a convenient location. And he's kind of got it figured out.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that real estate out here is another discussion, but yeah. But I mean, I think you showed me. I think you tagged me in that one video. One guy was independent. Yeah, he was doing some sick ostinatos. He was, and I mean, effortlessly too. Yeah.
Yeah, so. He follows a specific method, and I don't want to butcher it, so I'm even gonna pull my notes up here to make sure that I say it right, but. It's basically an African rhythms book, and he teaches this guy's methods like spot on. He spent some time in Cameroon. I think I'm saying that right. And
that's right. I remember.
Jessica talked about
that too on her show with us.
We talked about it with Jessica
on our show. So
that's right. Well, we did talk about it with Jessica, but basically, I got to learn some of those methods firsthand, and
cool.
I was pretty blown away. I was pretty blown away by the playing, and I want to reference it specifically so our listeners can go check it out again. They don't have to go back and listen to
definitely.
The other show. Well, go back and listen to the other show. It's worth your time. But
yes. If you haven't listened to the Jessica Bordeaux show, you should definitely do that. So
that was insane.
It's a good show.
Shout out to Jessica Bordeaux.
That's right.
Yep. So she's great. The book is called African Rhythms for Drum Set by Christian Bourdon.
Okay. Yep. And actually, I think that she mentions that in the Rapid Singles on that as her book that she would recommend. I believe. Right.
Yes, she does. She does.
Oh, see that? I still have it.
It's insane. And you know what? For me, I'm much more. It's always been really hard for me to take books and understand the concepts, especially ones that were really hard for me in the beginning, like Progressive Steps to Syncopation, and books that are built like that I didn't have someone to explain to me how to read it or how to function,
how to go through it, or absolutely, or even just check up on you to make sure that you're that you're not making a mistake that you don't even know you're making, developing a bad habit.
Well, it was nice to see some of those methods really put down in person. They're really tough, but when he's able to break them down. That's the thing about there's some great teachers out there that can really break concepts down in every field, and I would really consider them what I call master communicators, and he has got it on lock because he's got the teaching aspect of it down, but he keeps you just driven and happy and in a good mood, and he makes it such a community vibe that when you mess up, like everyone's just helping you get back on your feet by playing with you, rather than pointing the finger like, hey, man, you messed up. It's just a different kind of lesson. And I don't even want to learn any other way going forward. It was a great time. Really cool.
well, I mean, Earl is super talented and just a super cool dude, you know. So
Shit, I was starstruck. I don't even know what to say when I met him, man. It's like I've always kind of been like that growing up. I was fanboy out, and I definitely had that vibe when I met him. I was like, damn, it's Earl, and he has that like fatherly vibe. It's the only way I can put it,
Mhm.
and
that's cool.
he was just like, dude, nice to meet you. Just a great guy, really cool guy. I can't even wait we're gonna bring him on the show in the future, which is gonna be a banger, and
Oh yeah.
we'll get to know him really well then. But yeah, that was my week. That was an insane week. I've been really getting into Nam. My side of things. It was a short day, but I got to spend the day with Joey Bones. We met up really early in the morning, me, Joey, and his friend Gary, and
Did
actually,
he bring Gary from New Jersey?
yeah, at Garvince.
Okay.
Yes, you know who he was. Yeah, right. You know Gary. So I got to meet Gary. I got to hang out with Joey all day, and Joey impressively knows everybody. Like all these manufacturers, all these guys on Instagram that we connect with. Joey's just done such a good job of building solid relationships. So, to be honest, walking around with Joey all day, I kind of felt like I was getting this VIP treatment. We walked in the booths, and the owners were like, "Joey, what's up, man?" And he's like, "This is Rich Drummers. I like blah blah blah." Really cool, communication barriers broken down very easily by being with Joey. And everyone that listened to the show with him, he's a great guy. He's got a great personality. He's really personable, and it just showed walking around with him all day his ability to network and really keep his relationship strong. And because of that, I got to meet A&F. I got to meet Rami from A&F, which is an amazing drum company. I don't know, Jamie, have you seen these guys, A&F Drums, on Instagram?
And that it sounds familiar, but I
They
mean, yeah,
build like these really. The only way I can put it is they build like relics, man, drum relics. These really classy
They're almost like
looking
retro, very old
retro
school, vintage
1920s.
looking, but modern. But is he refurbishing um vintage stuff, or is it like modern made but has a vintage look?
So me and him kind of chatted about it, but we didn't get too deep into details. And where we did, we're gonna podcast with him, of course. And I
Okay.
want to save it. I do want to save it for that episode. I don't want to get
Sure.
I don't want to butcher the details by any means. But in short, it started off as a hobby of him building little toys and things that I wouldn't say toys, but drums that he thought sounded cool, like that shotgun snare and the pancake snare and the snare tom, which he calls the snom. All those little ideas were just kind of him tinkering around. And when he brought it all to concept, he really saw that he had a market, and that's why he started building it. So I don't know if everything's reclaimed or if he uses a specific material. I'll kind of let him be the one to tell us that.
But
But
his design is all
right,
very
right,
retro. I like it.
it's
I like
all
it.
that. Yeah.
Now,
So
I
I told
kind
him
of
the
have a
same
question.
thing. Right.
I
Go
kind of
ahead.
have a
dope
question for
stuff.
both of you since we're kind of all into the show here. Um, maybe starting with Richard. What were some of the highlight products or companies that you saw that you just like that just stood out? It's just like dang, or even a specific product or anything like that.
The beatbox. That's what stood out to me more than anything. It's this portable
Explain.
drum set. It's okay. So it's a drum set in a box. That's really what
Okay.
it is. And you know why it stood out to me, because of our rapid singles section in our show. We do this part where we talk about a portable drum set. When I saw that, that's the first thing I thought. I'm like, oh shit, that's a portable
Almost
drum
like a
set.
almost like a cocktail kit kind of
Right.
a setup.
Well, it's weird because, so to break it down in short, it's a drum set in a little box, like a touring case, and
Mhm.
you can pull it like a little touring suitcase, and you open it up, and inside of it is a mini snare, a mini rack tom, a mini floor tom, and a kick, and it all just kind of like pulls out and attaches to the box so that it's all in its little box area. It takes up barely any room at all. It's super small. But the sizes of
Crazy.
the
Yeah,
sizes
it
of
is.
these drums are like, I think the snare is a 10, or the snare is a 12, the rack is a 10, the floor is a 12. And the depth are like 2 inches or something, super small, like really shallow, and
Uh-huh.
enough for it to make sense. I mean, the kick is built into the box, so it never really comes out. You just attach your pedal, and then it has little arms that pull out of the casing openings that hold
Mhm.
cymbals. So you have a spot for your hi hat, you have a spot for one crash and one ride cymbal. And I think there's other ways to attach more cymbals to it, but I mean, the point is, you could put this thing in the back of a Toyota Corolla, drive down to the subway area, pull this thing out and throw a hat on the ground and collect donations and just jam. Like you sometimes would see people pull drum sets out. That's like the first thing I thought. I'm like, wow, you could do whatever you want. You could pull that thing and play it anywhere. But what stood out was the quality. Was the quality of the sound. Like from if you were standing back to it, you'd think someone was playing a full size kit. And I think that's where it had its edge. And the price point was ridiculous. I don't remember off the top of my head, but somewhere around like $2,000 for a full drum.
Oh wow!
And I think that included the cymbals too. It included like
that's all in one, and that's not too bad. That's not too bad.
They've been really sharpening and polishing that concept of like the ultimate trap kit, like literal like.
Yep, exactly. That's exactly what I thought of too. The trap, like a trap kit. Yeah.
Yeah, man, it actually had a company called Flats back in the day, where it was
literally
just a drum head and
So it was like a head and a rim, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And it was like, it had tone, but it was like the crazy thing. Like you look at over the evolution of the trap kit over time. The cocktail kit, the little breakdown, they even had the one situation where the drums, the kick drum was actually a drum case, and you put the other drums in it. And the cushion that you sat on was the lid.
Okay. Yep. Whoa. Yep. As a matter of fact,
I think Yamaha made that.
I mean, I can remember just seeing, even if you look at the old school drum sets, the throne a lot of times was almost like a trap too. Like the throne had like a shell that went over the legs, and it was like the same finish of the drum, and it snapped on. You know what I'm talking about, Jamie?
Yeah,
I know. Richard probably wouldn't be familiar because this is old school stuff.
Stupid right now. But, I don't know any of this stuff.
But yeah,
I thought Boombox was the first.
Here's the best way I can describe it to you, Richard. Go look up like the last like concert scene in the Blues Brothers movie. With John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd, the Blues Brothers. Go watch. Okay. Go just find the ending segment of that movie where they play the big final concert at the end, and you get a good view of it when Jake and Elwood are sneaking off the stage and like a trap door in the stage, and it's right behind the drummer, and they're like going down the hole, and they're like, all right, see you later. And Homeboy's just sitting there holding it down, and he just looks over and he's like, all right, kind of gives him a head nod, but you can see his throne, and you can see it's the same finish of the drum, and it's like I said, it's like a shell, almost like a drum shell that's as it's the same diameter as the actual top of the throne. And it looked, like I said, it would snap together, and I think you could keep stuff inside of that almost like a small case that came with the drum set.
Yeah, that trap kit concept has been, it's been burgeoned over for years. But I mean, hey, if this one company got it right, that's dope. I mean,
that's cool.
Everybody wants the sound and portability. Because I'm gonna tell you, some of these, I call them smoker gigs, where you just pull up. And you literally, if you only have room on the stage for a snare and a kick drum, if you can go to work on a little pocket kit, then hey, it's easy on your back and better on your pockets, So good stuff.
I can't even find trap kit when I search Google, but I think that methodology of having that small kit is amazing. It's something I learned from Halpern. Was when I didn't learn from him. I think I just took it from him because I was an obsessed fanboy in college, really into this guy's drumming, and I would just do the snare, the floor tom. That's it. And I'd have a China where the ride was, and then I have a little ride above it, 2 crashes on my hats, and I could set up and break down in under 5 minutes. And every time it was like I'd watch. You know how the typical metal band is, guys. They have 7 to 8 piece drum set, tons of cymbals, and most of the time we'd play shows. Not to say that's how everybody is, but most of the time I'd see guys spending 15 minutes breaking down and setting up, and a lot of time. Kevin, you have a rack. I remember watching you spending a ton of time setting that rack up.
I was just gonna say, dude, it's like 15 minutes. Shoot, I'd love 15 minutes. It takes me way more than 15 minutes.
But the coldest thing about that whole thing is that you never hit all of those drums.
Well, I don't. And now
you never hit everything up there.
Yeah, right. For what I do, I mean, I still use just 2 rack toms and then a single floor tom, but I do rack it, and that rack, oh my, dude, I can't wait. My next show kit, there's going to be no rack involved with that. No rack.
Hey guys, I was looking at an old picture in Drumhead magazine, and Jonathan Moofer, who's a like legend dude. He, back when he was with like one of his first, I guess, touring rock bands, I was looking at his kit. He had the Ludwig, the ice white Ludwig. I'm talking about he had everything. I think from like 8 to 18, like 8, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 18, two 24-inch John Bonham kick drums,
Oh,
big
that's
old
cool.
30-inch gong. And it's like, wow. I mean, you know how long of a roll you'd have to take? You know how long your fill
Right,
would have to be to hit
right.
all those drums? It's like that many drums anymore. I'm sure, even back in the day, all those drums were just for show.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
That's how I feel.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
It's a
because I mean,
look
like you
thing.
said, you can't do a fill that's going to cover that entire scope of sound. I mean, granted, I guess you got a lot of options. Like, I mean,
Oh
you
my
get into like
god.
Terry Bozzio style, and you're like, I want to play like all like melodically. Then you got all the
Oh my
notes, but
god. Terry Bozzio's tech must get as much as Terry on his gigs, because
I
I
tell you
mean
what, that
The
that
work. Whew.
he's got to get there a day early.
dude, I feel bad for his drum techs when you see that Starship Bozzio with that like 110 toms or something it's got on it. Oh man.
Man.
I mean, I just like I said, it's like most people look at that and they're like, look at how cool that is. I look at it, I'm like, look at how much of a pain in the ass it would be to set up and tear down.
Oh god. A day early and a day later.
Oh
I
my
will say
god.
this though. I will say this. Now, what caught my eye, and I'm so glad, because I thought that Sonar, stand by, stay tuned, by the way, guys. Y'all watch out, world. But Sonar still makes their acrylic kit.
Oh,
And
there.
I
Okay.
mean, that girl goes. Now, there are still some companies that, have, their take on the acrylic kit, much like a lot of companies have their take on the trap kit.
Hmm.
But there are few and far between companies that I've seen, and I can only really name two that have it. That I mean, well, one had it, and now this one, and Sonar has it. When I tell you those girls sing so good, I mean, still. So, and they're like, they're seamless. They don't have no, they're not glued together and they're not rolled. They're
Okay.
like straight drilled
They're
out,
straight.
and I mean,
Wow.
they
They're straight
sound,
like yeah. Wow. They're solid. They're a solid piece of acrylic.
and they sound so punchy. Like, so
Now
now,
I got it now because I mean if you look at it that's that's almost like kind of a trend that's kind of coming back in because I mean you see now now you see Sonar doing it but I know Tama has done one. I think they call theirs the Mirage or I don't know I know they've done one.
uh-huh.
Um, uh, who was the other one? ODW in one of their series they've been doing an acrylic kit and I've seen quite a few people messing with that. So it
Yeah,
seems like it's coming back. But Ludwig is the
Ludwig
original.
had the yeah, the Vista lights, and then
Yeah, the Vista.
Fibes had one.
Oh, that's right,
Yeah.
Fibes. That's right. Yeah, but one thing that I'm kind of to me the acrylics are awesome, but they got to be in that right setting because they can be loud. They're
They're
loud.
hecka punchy. They're like really really punchy, aren't they? They're
Yeah,
like
really punchy, very punchy.
they jump out at you. But I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, it's just because at first, you know how, like, I guess growing up, you grew up with wood. You want that wood is just the thing.
Hmm.
But I mean, I guess it kind of
So
took
it's
me back
cool.
looking at yeah, oh, like,
Looks cool.
because the thing about things like stuff that jumps out at you, I'm noticing that in certain venues or arenas or whatever, you can do a lot more, a lot longer if you're not laying into the drums. So
Yeah.
when you got stuff like oak, or even for snares, steel, brass, that kind of thing, and acrylic, since it punches, it's
Hmm.
kind of like easier to play. You're not just like lifting weights playing the drums.
Hmm.
Now, and that's just like personal preference, what I'm saying. I like the drums to cut and kind of stand out a little bit, not to be greedy on the stage, but it's like, hey, if you get a drum that speaks back at you, it's kind of easier on the fatigue.
Yeah. When
But
with that I'd have to say that you would probably you would really enjoy the acrylics. Because
because
they
the
got
thing
that
of it
punchy
is
attack.
though, I didn't think growing up, I didn't think they were durable.
Oh,
I
okay.
just didn't think. I was like, okay, if you hit a drum long enough, that seal, and then the weather, all that kind of stuff. You hit that drum, weather, and all that stuff. That seal's gonna come apart.
Yeah.
And I've seen the glue is glue. It comes apart over years.
And you know
But
what? Mentioning that, I've seen, I think on the original Vista lights, they were seamed and there was like a notch. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Right on the seam. And I definitely have seen those drums, after years fail at that seam. So I mean,
That's
that was
so
definitely the
funny you
weak
brought
point.
that up. When I was at Nam, they had a Vistalite kit set up, and I went up and I ran my finger across it, and I felt that seam. And I'm like, what the hell? Why is it like
Yeah,
that? I feel like it
because
makes it so
that's how they do
undurable.
those.
It'll make
Well,
it
I
like
mean,
it allows me to create a space that I can nick it, I can hit it, it can create dust, weather,
yeah.
air. Like, I mean, forgive me, I don't know, I don't have the experience with that kit, but when I saw it, I saw that and it was a turn off. I'm like, damn, I don't like that glue. I like the seamless ones. I like
You
that
know,
glue
and
better.
God forbid somebody, not to cut you, I'm sorry, but God forbid somebody drop it, pulling it out of a case. Like that's a wrap.
Done.
yeah.
Yeah. I
But
noticed that.
I'd like to think, to play devil's advocate, that especially in today's times, that we have a good enough quality acrylic that we can manufacture and a good enough bonding agent to really seal that seam. Like back in the 70s when they were making those drums, like manufacturing, I think was a lot different. And
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I'd
yeah.
I'd like to think that, if you buy a modern acrylic, Vistalite or something that is seamed or has something like that, although you're going to see it, so it becomes kind of an eyesore. When you could have a crystal clear acrylic with no seam, I mean that's just even prettier. But if it has a seam, as long as it's durable, that's the real question. And I'd like to think that they can make that these days, but time will tell.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell.
You know what? With the thinking about the Sonar acrylic kits, there's only one that really stood out to me, and I correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think it's the X-ray kit, and I
Yep,
used to
that's
see
it.
Thomas Lang would play on it all the time, and
And that's the one I saw beasting. Yeah.
that kit is it sounds so good. I caught someone on IG tagged us recently, and I got to go through it again, playing that kit, and they tagged us Thomas Lang, and it just sounded so good. And going back to that punchy sound, Jamie, I got to agree with you. I think that's where I've always been driven. Is I like that short attack that comes with the acrylic, but I love how loud and punchy it is, and that's why I think I'm really led to. We had him on the show. We had him on the show last week, but Stan, we always repost his stuff, and he plays this Pearl acrylic kit, and it is so nice, and you can tell that sound really works so good, especially with like phone audio. He's recording with his phone a lot of the times, and it is cutting through. You hear every little bit, every little small delicacy of the drum. It's just all there. I love it. I love those kits.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But yeah, I
Those
always
kids go.
remember. I always
Those
remember
kids
seeing
go.
him. I remember seeing him play those, and I've been now in the market to get one myself. And yeah, I like those, and even the price, the bargain for the price, you can't beat it. I don't know off the top of my head, but those, even the pearls, are somewhere around 15, and the DW Design acrylics, those are beautiful drums. They're around $1,200 or $1,300. So
Yeah.
it's kind of a
Yeah,
bargain.
it's affordable. You know what I mean? It's not going to be that price point for that mid-level kit, but hey, that's definitely that like right on the edge pro kind of price point. You're not paying $3 to $5 grand for the shells, but it's not a $750 drum set either. You know what I
Man, I
mean?
saw snares that cost more than this on the low end
Oh
at
sure. Oh,
Nam.
absolutely.
And when I saw that, I'm
Absolutely.
like, damn, I buy 2 drum sets with this snare. What the hell?
Yeah, price. Yeah, it's like
Yeah,
price out a Gretsch USA custom. Those things are crazy money, dude. Crazy money.
crazy.
Yeah, man, but
But I
it's
mean, they're beautiful drums.
yeah,
That's a
you
lot of
get what you pay
workmanship
for,
goes into those drums.
and that's the
It's
beauty,
like
man.
anything
And
else.
I've noticed it with having the rolling kit and really being so forcefully attached to it is that you don't get the build like electronic kit. I have to move it around so much, and it's just falling apart. I mean,
Is it?
it's a $2,000 electronic kit, and because I have to move it around to play it so much, little thing like the brackets are starting to lose the ability to stay tight. Stuff's falling down where the snare is.
But
I
like
have
where
to
the wing nuts tighten against like the rods, the
right, yeah, they're
L
all
rod.
wearing down bad. Where the
Really?
snare has to be tightened multiple times, and I don't hit that hard. I believe I remember your guitar player referring to me as Princess Hands back in 2007. So, I mean, since I met you, Jamie, I've been really focusing on just kicking and hitting really hard and really focused and staying in the same places. but I don't hit that hard. So that's why it throws me off. It's just the quality it's a great electronic kit, but even my Shine snare that I've dropped down the stairs plenty of times.
Uh-huh.
It still sounds better. It still keeps great condition. It's weathered the test of time, and that's I guess what you get with a really well built drum set. And that's even looking at price points of drums. When I look at someone says drum set's $5,000, I don't question that because I think the
No,
time and
yeah.
effort's gone into the build materials and
It's
the
it's probably a
craftsmanship.
$5,000 drum set. You know what I mean? That's
Right.
what comes to mind. Like I said,
Yep.
you could buy a $700 one, or you can buy a $3,000 one. But like I said, the workmanship, that's what makes the difference. The workmanship and the materials.
Right.
And
You're gonna
after
have
about after you reach about $1,500, it's got to sound like something. At the end of the day, you take a stick, you hit it, it goes boom. But after about $1,500 or better, you expect it to at least you know have some durability, playability, and be worth something. You're right.
Yeah, the
yeah,
details really get. I think that's where the details really start to come in. Is that you're right? It is at the end of the day, it is going to go boom, but there's so many little delicacies that go into the drum build that really bring value. I guess right.
So many,
yeah.
yeah.
And that's you kind of point something out that really stood out. Jamie, did you get a chance to check out Love Custom Drums?
Nah, I sure didn't. Love LOVE.
Yeah,
Mhm.
LOVE.
Nah, I sure didn't. They got something going.
Yeah, so they're a custom drum company. They're out of Southern California, and the owner's name is Buddy Love, but he builds all the drums. Got a small team, and the drum sets are incredible. They're completely custom, and the price points are ridiculous. He's got a custom drum set for I think $1,600 or $1,500, where you can pick your finish, lugs, like the full works. And these kits are beautiful and amazing. And I think I've heard more people asking themselves, how the hell is he affording this? After they hear the drum kits and see the price points because they're mind blown by the value. And he stood out to everybody. I think I saw everybody that was blasting about Nam in the Instagram community for drummers I like, walking over to Love Custom Drums and posting videos and getting clips of people playing on those kits because
I saw
right,
quite a few
right.
things on Instagram. The guys
And
jamming on some love kits.
right, and here's where it stood out the most though. So the price point is amazing because the kits are all custom. You get to choose what you want. They're hand built. They sound amazing, but it's that detail side. He puts the details of a $10,000 drum set into a $1,500 kit. That's where
Yeah.
I was like, wow, like this guy is. Yeah, I'm glad it's sustainable right now because he's providing such an insane value for the quality of drum kits. I can't wait to bring this guy on the show. Hopefully, we get him on one of these days. But that guy really stood out to a lot of people. And if you haven't checked him out, you got to go check out Love Custom Drums. Those things sound big, big. He had this cool little unique kick drum that it was like it started off at maybe like an 18-inch diameter, and then it went out. It stays pretty shallow down towards the end of the kick, and then it opens up like a big mouth to like a 22-inch, and it sounded so thick and punchy, and it was just so cool and unique looking. It wasn't built out of wood. It was built. I can't. It was built out of had to be built out of some kind of plastic material or maybe acrylic. I don't know, but it had the texture of like a truck bed that was like covered in like rhinoplaster or whatever you call it to protect it.
Like rhino lining.
Right. Yeah. It was like a
It
rhino
was
lining.
like coated with some
Right.
sort of like durable coating, so to speak.
Right. Correct.
Huh.
Correct.
That's wild. That's really
Yeah.
wild.
It was big and punchy, man.
Huh.
It just looked. It was tiny and compact, and it allowed you to really put the drums in a comfortable position, is what I noticed. But it was just so thick sounding, and it just looks cool when you see it. You're like, oh shit, what's that?
Nice.
And
That's
he has
cool.
Cool, cool.
some sick peeps. He's got a lot of drummers that believe in him that were just destroying those kits as far as playing. It was nice to see the kits played to their full potential, and
Absolutely.
just in time for the sound police to come and give everybody tickets.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Did you see that guy Jamie running around? I don't know how many there were, but there was one specific guy with a goatee that tore A&F a new one like right as we were all playing on the kits demoing him at a very low volume. He came and just like gave him a ticket. Boom. No
And I want
jokes.
to know if I want to know if I want to know, are you really supposed to pay those tickets? Are they real tickets? Do you really pay those?
If you want to come
That's
back next
wild.
year,
They
I think
were.
that's what
It's
it comes
like I
down
mean,
to.
you put drummers around drums, and
That's
they're gonna
it.
play them. Like
That's it.
it's like,
That's what you're there to
what
do,
are you
sell the
what are
stuff.
you gonna do? Like,
Period. Point blank. Period. Point blank. The
yeah,
drums. I mean, it's amazing because they police the stuff like drums, and I don't see hardly anybody in guitars. And I mean, I heard some guys wailing, but it's like, okay, now I saw the ticket guy, and then I just wondered, well, are those real tickets? Like, are those like traffic tickets or parking tickets that you just sit there, you just ball them up and put them in your pocket and say thank you? And I don't think, yeah,
yeah.
What I think they do is they just use it as a means of, hey, if you don't pay it, then you're not coming back, kind of thing. Because
Yeah,
they're
that could
they're
for a
keeping
manufacturer
track.
that
They
could
want to make
hurt.
their money. From what I heard, the story of being being a vendor there and the ups and I mean I've done a couple conventions in the food and liquor industry, and the union has it on such a thick lock that it doesn't matter what you want to do. You have to pay for every little thing from having someone move your luggage from your hotel, to that kind of a detail. It's just insane the financial squeeze they have on anybody that wants to go there, and you can't not go there. Everybody goes to this convention, so it's like go or don't go. But if you go, you're gonna get the squeeze, and
Yeah,
that's what kind of threw me off. It's like you make some people in there paying 10 grand for some of those tiny booths, and they can't test their products. Like
yeah.
what's the
Well, I mean, I
point?
can understand if they just let everybody go crazy, it would be madness. Nobody would hear
But no one
anything.
does that. No
But
one
I
does
I
that.
would like to think that most people have respect, and are going to be like, all right, yeah, other people are trying to listen to stuff, so I'm just going to kind of get a little idea here, and get a little taste,
I
and that's
think
what you're trying to do. I mean, you're trying to see what's up. I mean, if you really want to go, take it to the next step, if you kind of like their product, then obviously after the show, you're going to hit them up and say, okay, now I really want to talk about this more. You know what I mean? You really caught my attention. Then you can maybe go to headquarters. You really sit down and play some drums, and they
Yeah,
could go
but
from
I,
there.
I feel you. But when you're even from the consumer standpoint, it's not a $10 ticket to get into Nam. I want to play this stuff so that I can make a decision now, and I don't have to go through the process. I paid this ticket to come to this convention, so I can try all these drum sets, hit these cymbals, check them out to the full potential, because those companies are paying an arm and a leg. That what I mean. I get that we don't want it to go crazy, but I think that's why they have all these artists pass. These artists get a little bit more time on the instruments. It should just be handled a little bit differently, where it's in you
Yeah,
know in the advantage of the vendor, because that's who's dry. That's what's dry. If there were no vendors, there'd be no convention. With no convention, there'd be no jobs. So that's where that balance kind of gets off with those guys, where it's like, come on, give them a break, give them a
yeah, right.
break, let them play the drums. Because you're right, Jamie. When I went over to the guitar section, you're right. Guys were just wailing on guitars. But even being I was in the pro audio section, and these speakers were blasting like
Oh, okay.
yeah.
crazy. That's why I was like,
And that's
really?
and
This
you
is
you brought up
super
a really
loud.
good point. You brought up a really good point. People come like, if you can't test it, if you can't at least see the potential of what it does, it's almost like, okay, well, what are we paying for? Because we paid a lot to get in here. Now maybe, I don't know. There's a lot to be said about I guess, volume, and just because, okay, I noticed that some people have like performances, or little presentations.
Hmm.
We got great guys that come, like Eric Gales. You got different guitar players, different drummers, and then artists will come by and want to slap on a couple things. But it's
Hmm.
like, it's something that needs to be said when it's like being exhibited properly, and it is a moment. Because like you said, like, people want to hear what they do, and they
Hmm.
really want to hear when an artist sits down on it and makes it do what it does.
Hmm.
So I think that's part of, how do you get your highlight reels if people can't play this stuff, that kind of
Right.
thing.
Hmm.
So, I don't know. There's a lot of controversy about that whole noise police thing. It's actually
We'll
corny to
see.
me,
And,
but
and do you guys know? Was that like the convention center, like security people that were doing that, or was that like
no, I
actually
think
guys
it's
that were
I think
employed by
I
the
think
show?
yeah, I think they
Really?
they dele-
Okay.
they delegated some other people to be noise police. They
Yeah, they had
delegated.
a
I mean,
little little decibel meter too, a little sound check meter, so they're walking around with this thing, walking up to the areas and measuring the sound decibels. All right, give them a ticket.
It's pretty
Crazy,
wild. It's pretty wild. Well,
Yeah,
hey,
crazy.
interesting conversation. For especially interesting take for those of us who weren't able to be there and couldn't experience it. It's a nice little kind of insight into the whole experience.
yeah, it was a part of it. It was definitely a part of it.
Yeah,
Jamie, did you get a
well, that's
chance to,
good.
to check out aerodrums?
Yes, I did. I sure did.
Wild.
I have a young gunner coming up, a little Zion. Watch out for him. He's a
I
he's a little
saw him
monster.
playing him. I saw him killing
Yeah,
him.
he's a little monster, and it's funny because this whole video game era that we're in, the video game craze is really, something that's picking up a lot of momentum, as a matter of fact. And when you see little guys get on there and able to, to them it's all a video game. He just put them on and went to going at it, and I mean it was really cool. They have the video showing the drums that you're, virtually hitting on,
Hmm.
and when they put the stuff together for the public to see, you can see like what he's hitting on. Aerodrums did their thing with it. I think this is their second year
It is because I've
having
seen footage from them. I think from the last show. Absolutely, I think they were there last year.
Aerodrums is doing their thing. They really are, and I mean it's cool. The virtual thing. It's a pastime. It's I guess with maturity you take some things a little bit more mature or much. I'm sorry, more seriously. I'm sorry, but no, it's actually dope. I guess anything in the name of practicing without a whole lot of noise at 24 hours a day,
Mhm.
and nobody telling you to, hey, turn those down. It's really
Yeah,
cool. I mean, I don't now personally, I didn't get a chance to, experience the aero drums, but I just, I think it's a cool concept. I think it's a
it
cool
is. It
concept.
is. What's kind of interesting? You brought them up too because the I believe the architecture it's kind of built on. They have a program that you can actually download, and it's you can download it for free. And if you download it for free, it like up in the corner of the screen, it has like a little made with Arid drums, but it's called Arid. It's Aered instead of with an O at the end instead of
Okay.
arrow, but it's
Okay.
Arid. And basically, what it is it's a drum like sheet music notation program.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
So like if I wanted to, type out an exercise or something like that, or chart out a song or do anything, it's a real easy program. It's nice because it's one of the only programs that I've found that is like only for drums. It's only for drum set kind of and drums.
Cool.
And
Cool.
you can download it for free, or you can like donate like I think it's like the minimum is like $4.06, and you can get a version of it without the little like made with arid drums up in the corner, so that way it just looks like something you put together. It doesn't have the actual program name on it, and I'm pretty sure when you play the aero drums, if it goes into arid drums, it will chart out what you play. You know what I mean? It'll put it all in notation,
I see.
which is kind of interesting. So
Interesting way to
chart out what you're
learn,
doing.
yeah, and then learn. It's kind of a way to learn without,
Yeah.
like, I've learned so many things by putting the pieces together in that manner, and that's kind of a cool way to self teach yourself in the in the big scheme of things, right?
Yeah. Or even just, you can play a little like, just jam for, how many ever measures, and you can go back and you can look at the notation, and you can start to see maybe some of the things that you normally comfortably do, that's already in your playing. You can see what it looks like in notation if you're not, if you're not a reader, or if you're trying to learn to read, but you've already been playing drums for a while. So, that could be
Yeah.
kind of interesting too.
Yeah, that's real cool.
I say
That's definitely
So
cool.
I
neat,
thank
neat
Instagram for
company.
my
I mean,
reading
like I
chops.
said, I've never actually checked out the aero drums, obviously, but anytime I've seen them, it looks like such a neat concept because it's like you're playing an electronic kit, except for there's nothing in front of you.
Well, I remember seeing it in the concept days before they were like 3 or 4 years ago when they were just kind of posting their first videos and trying to do a little bit of outreach marketing wise. And I was pretty blown away then. But
Yeah,
even
exactly.
then, I could tell that there was some latency that
Yeah,
it was still in the beginning stages. But
yeah.
I was pretty blown back by not only the videos, but I also, Jamie, I didn't get to play on it either, which I was frustrated about. But there was a line out the wazoo to practice
I
on those
bet there
things.
was.
That's
Oh,
why
I
I
bet
was
there
like,
was.
yeah, I'm not even gonna mess with that. And
I'm
all
pretty
this,
sure I
there's a
saw
lot of
Bridgen from
featured.
last year tearing it up, and it's like you can hear everything he's doing, and you're watching, and it's like he's sitting in a kit. Like,
Okay, it was crazy last year. It was bonkers this year. This how because
really?
they really have the virtual reality thing figured out, and the fact that, like you mentioned with Zion, King Zion, he was like shredding full speed, but watching the drums, and and someone at his age who already probably really enjoys video games, it's just
Yeah, he
like
was doing his thing.
it's just like it's business as usual. And then what does that really do? What I see is that turns the game upside down, because drummers cram for spaces, times, and volume issues when it comes to playing drums,
Yeah.
and that just solves it all right there.
Yeah, right. I
You
mean,
can
you can
play
do
it
it
anytime
anywhere.
you
You can do
want,
it
and
anywhere.
nobody's gonna hear you. And what else it does to me is that it opens up the door for. So no matter what, we're all still going to be drawn to the real drum kits. But now all these companies can be like, you know what? Let's make a virtual version of our kit and put it on that app so people can try it, and we can persuade them to buy our drums over, say, the normal kit price or purchase that they would usually make. This virtual reality stuff is going to be insane. And it's funny because I remember and I know you, Kevin and Jamie, you both probably you were experiencing virtual reality was big when you were younger too. So it's like probably it really is like a blast from the past with the way it's
Yeah.
coming back. But it's just so
Well, the way I always saw
so
it,
in
really, I
tune.
mean,
It's so real.
up until recently, when I look back at it, it was always just kind of a fantasy thing. You know what I mean? It was like there was movies from the '90s like Lawnmower Man, that were based and having virtual reality experiences, but really, I mean, nobody had really seen any technology that was really like that. And even then, when it was shown, it was still pretty crude looking. And even back, if they were really making all that stuff back then, it was costing thousands and thousands and probably hundreds of thousands of dollars. So nobody owned one. You know what I mean? So now just to see it come full, it's like crazy to me, because it was like that was something that you just dreamed of. Like, oh yeah, virtual reality. Like you're standing there and you can really see it. Yeah, sure, we'll see that in our lifetime. No, actually, yeah, we probably will. And we're only, we're still all young.
Go watch Black Mirror. They
Yeah.
pretty much got the next 20 years figured out, man. That's what I think about too. Is I see all these technologies, like you said, show Westworld, where they can go into this like virtual world that's super real. Like, I don't want to go back to the past. Let me go into a virtual room where I can play drums where no one can bother me for like a year, but it's only really an hour of real time, and I will be super stoked. Imagine that when that kind of technology happens, where someone can go spend an hour in a chamber and come out with experience of Thomas Lang, all of his entire 50 years of knowledge, like being able to
At that point, you're getting like almost like Matrix style, where they just plug you in and just plug the information in, and and you wake up and you look over and he's like, instead of I know kung fu, it's like I know paradiddles at 220.
Right.
So
I can report for
It's
sure that
definitely
was not
tech
at
is
NAMM.
definitely coming.
yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, aero drums definitely is intriguing to me. So kudos
Tech
to
is
those guys.
tech has definitely come a long way, guys. Tech is
Yeah.
definitely, I mean, like leaps and bounds from just the stick and a wood cylinder.
Yeah, right.
You know,
With a calfskin head on it, originally.
Right, right.
it's funny
Calves
though. You
gave
say
their
the tech
lives.
stuff.
Calves
Yeah.
gave their lives for these drum heads.
That's right.
Aw.
And now look, we've come full circle, and Evans and Remo are making synthetic calf heads again.
Right.
Welcome
It all
back.
comes back around.
Welcome back.
All comes
I ran a little poll on the Instagram for those drum heads the other day, and people love those Evans calf tones.
The calf tone?
56. Oh yeah. Like,
I like
you know what? I hear that they sound. I've heard them. They sound great. I played on them at NAMM. They sound awesome. But the one piece of feedback I consistently hear is that they don't last that long. They just don't stand the test of time.
Well, I can see them being more like, guys that are going to use those more are going to be more of like maybe a jazz bass player,
Right.
somebody that's not quite excuse me, I can't speak, not hitting quite as hard, somebody that's using a lot more dynamics, kind of, and if you think about it, that's how jazz guys like that calfskin kind of tone, it's fitting to what they do, and I don't know if you fully get that out of the calf tone, but that's why those guys like that,
I see.
like that material, because it was, it was their sound, and they give a very distinctive sound. So, I mean, I don't know if you'd get even a newer calf tone head, put it on a third, get it in a 13 and crank it on a pot, a small snare and try and play, metal with it. I don't know if that would be the right setting for that head. But,
I've seen a few guys online that have those heads that are playing some pretty heavy music, and
that's kind of interesting.
I didn't think about it until I really started hearing some feedback about it, and I'm like, well, I mean, maybe they're playing 5 sessions and just changing the head. I don't know, but I'm gonna have to try it myself for the most part. But really getting onto that tech thing, what really stood out to me in the drum world that I just didn't see a lot of tech. There was Aero drums. There was a couple people, really focused on, plugins that worked with triggers that were really unique and fit on drums in different ways. But there was still a lot more tangible focus for manufacturers and less of a software focus, where I still see that, and maybe more in the guitar world with fractal audio and all these different people competing to have the best digital sound. I've seen it so frequently, but still in the in the acoustic drum world, there's less focus on technology, more focus on tangible, which makes sense. Drums are acoustic, everything about it is tangible by nature, but really less focus on people using software and technology to help aid the drummer in simple practice methods or guidance, or even what blows my mind is why isn't someone locked down tuning my drums with a cell phone? Because I have not seen, you see people tune their drums with guitars.
That's true. Right? I mean, they're still working on coming up with like contraptions where you can turn one key and it tunes all the tension rods.
I saw True Tuner had that, man. They have that figured out.
Well, no, I'm saying like where the drum and the hoop for the head is like, think about like the Tama Omni tune. Have you ever seen those? Jamie, you know what I'm talking about on those?
Yeah, I have seen those. Yeah, I have seen the I guess the lug on the top tunes the bottom as well. So
there's one lug for the top and one lug for the bottom. You just, you know what I mean? You turn that lug and it tunes the whole drum.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And really, Tama built that whole idea into the drums. You know what I mean? It wasn't like another thing you put on the drum. You know what I mean? It was all part of it. Now, I think I have seen one, and it almost, and I can't think of the company's name. I know I saw it fairly recently too. They were probably at the show, but it almost looks like it puts like cables around, somehow links cables to the actual tension rods themselves. So when you turn, their one knob basically, or you put a key in and turn the one screw to turn the whole drum, it turns that cable and tensions all the tension rods just at one time. You know what I mean? With the same amount of force.
That sounds like a True Tune. Well, they got one like clear plastic
You're talking about
thing, and it goes on all the lugs, and you have one crank in the middle, and it actually cranks all the tension rods at once.
That's kind of true, but you have to put that onto the drum. Like the things I'm talking about, they're almost like permanently on there. You never, just, you know what I mean? Because with like the True Tuner, you would still have to like take out your disc for that size. You'd have to put all the little angled pieces in. Then you'd have to set it on the head, and then you can either tighten or loosen whatever you're trying to do. Where it's always on the drum. So like you're playing and you're like, oh, you know what? That high tom's a little flat right now. You just take your drum key, hit one spot, turn it a little bit. It tensions both every lug at one time on that specific head, whether it be the resonant or the batter side, and then you just go back to playing. And you're like, okay, yeah, there it is. You know what I mean? Right. Where you couldn't do that with like a True Tuner. But I get what you're saying. It is kind of the same idea. Just I'm saying it more. It's like permanently on the drum. Pretty cool and interesting stuff.
I'm trying to search it. I can't find anything.
I know. I'll find it, Richard, and if we have to, I'll tell people about it again. But it was something I did see. It was kind of interesting.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, but speaking of True Tuner, I stopped by their booth too, and I got to see that product work in action. They were right next to Big Fat Snare Drum, which a gentleman named Chris owns that company, and I had such a nice chat with Chris. I got to hang out with him for 25 minutes and just talk drums, talk about his business. Just this guy is toxic when it comes to a good conversation. And
Toxic?
he's
That wouldn't
it's
be a good way to
toxic,
put
man.
that.
No, it's the
Toxic.
right word. It's the right word, man. That's it. It's
Toxic
the
is
right
bad to
word.
me. He's like, I was like, wait a minute. What are you trying to say here?
Well, I'm not using it in a negative way, I guess.
Okay. Well,
It's
then, as
like
long as we clear it up. As long as we clear that up.
yeah, we'll clear it up. I don't mean this in a negative way, Chris, when you listen in. But no, we had a great conversation, and True Tuner was right next to him. So as I'm sitting here talking to Chris, I watched this guy like tune 20 drums, like plop 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 left and right, and you know what? I from the outside perspective, I was kind of critical of the product. Kevin wrote a nice little article about it, kind of giving his 2 cents about a year ago, and ever since then, even my opinions kind of been shaped. Even with their videos, I'm like, it's cool, but you know, how beneficial is it for all these different aspects that I kind of had in mind? And then when I really started thinking about how lazy I am as a drummer and how much of a terrible tuner I am, I actually feel like the product would work pretty well for me in certain scenarios. And then just seeing the speed, like even if it's not meant to get you the tune that you want, it was cool to see that you can get to a point really quickly. Say you want a high tension, well, once you lock that thing down, you can get there in like 10 seconds. You are not going to get there going leg by leg. It's going to take you 10 minutes, like to really get to a nice point. So that's what really impressed me about that product. I don't know, Jamie, did you check it out?
Oh yeah, no, I've seen True Tune stuff. I think they're another. This is their second year anniversary. I think at NAMM too. But if I'm not mistaken, but yeah, both of those companies, Big Fat Snare and True Tune have been doing their thing, and it's kind of cool. Like you said, they at least try to their thing. True Tune is to at least get you even, at least
Right.
get the lugs started off at an even point. So when you get ready, back in the day, you used to have to put your knee in your head just to get all the, you know, crack open the seals on the bearing edges or whatever. And I think now it takes a lot of the excess like pre-work out of tuning drums. But yeah, I mean, as far as I've seen, it's really cool. Like I said, it gets all the lugs started off at an even position, and you just tweak and get it to the tone you like. Just mount it and go.
Yeah, that's you just can't beat the time. Like what I learn as we grow, man. It's that time is more valuable than anything on this planet. So saving even 5 minutes every night on a gig, that 5 minutes that you saved can give you some time to prep, get your head correct, go get a drink of water. Use just plenty of little things that you could get done by saving the time of changing heads out, especially for a lot of drummers that don't have the luxury of having a drum tech. And if they have the drum tech, then they need to get their drum tech a true tuner so he can speed the process up and get a little more leisure time himself, because that's what the product really does. Get you to the point you need to be in, and you just fine tune it.
See, I don't think it's any secret. I've often been a skeptic of their product, but I don't know. I mean, it billed as a time saver. I don't see how it would save. Like, in an emergency situation, if you really need to change a head fast, it's still going to take you a little while, even with that device. So for that aspect of it, I don't see it now. With Richard mentioning,
Oh,
some
this is
different
gonna be
ideas for
fun.
tuning, for tuning pieces, you know what I mean? Like, I might give it, but I think at this point, because I've kind of pushed it aside in my mind, enough where I'd have to actually put my hands on it and really play with it or really
Yeah,
see
I'm
it.
sending you
And,
a true tuner.
I think that's the only way I could see if I really would change my tune on kind of how I feel about it. Because I don't know, I'm just like one of those like tuning purists that thinks like it's like I don't need a gadget. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I dig what you're saying because
you know what I
those
mean?
of us
Like,
that really get into tuning and the like the tone of the drum. I'm that as
yeah.
well. I'm a purist as well on that end. But I think you mentioned it, like just the speed of drum tech work. I mean, if you just need to now, of course you're gonna go through and tweak your sound, but the
Mhm.
speed of like just mounting heads or whatever, you've taken at least 5 minutes off that job, just getting the head down, like I said, to at least an even situation. It may not be right on where you want it. And those of us that really get into our toms, especially, yeah, it's one of those things where we want to. Once we get it to where we want it, we like how it sounds. We barely even want to change the head anymore. But as far as mounting and just tech speed, I think that's really where the advantage to me comes in my humble
Well,
opinion.
see, the only reason why I don't think it should be billed as much of a time saver as it is, I'm just thinking like the only time when you have to really change ahead really fast is if it's either right before a performance or during a performance. You know what I mean? Those would be the only two times where you're like, oh man, this has to happen and this has to happen right now. And if that is the case, you have to, when you take that clear plate, you have to attach those little metal pieces that go onto the lugs, and you have to attach those into the disc. So, like I say, you take the disc out, you pop in. Let's say you got, an 8-lug drum. You got to pop in these 8 lugs in these certain spots because you got to make sure it's for the right spot for an 8-lug drum, and you got to pop them all in, and then you got to set it on the drum, and then you can twist it off in one, and then you pop it off. You put the new head on. You're going to twist it down, fairly quickly, but then you're going to take it off, and then you're going to sit there and start tapping it and listening to it. You know what I mean? And then fine tuning it. So how much time did you really save in that over just using just quickly taking a T, style key and just spinning it off your finger, using your fingers to just undo the lugs, picking up the one, popping it on, dropping it on, finger tightening again, and then fine tuning.
Well,
I
you
just
gotta
don't
think.
know.
You gotta think of it though. You gotta think of it because and again, I've seen it at work one time. A couple times seen videos, but I grew up having to finger tight, not even tighten, get them even. Like the what is it? The 3/6. No, the 9/3/6/12 method all the way around the drum.
Mhm.
And then think about it. You're screwing 2 screws at a time. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So
And when I'm in a hurry, like the first thing I'm going to do, like when I just set the new head on and I set the hoop and the tension rods back in, is I grab the 12 and the 6 and I'm finger tightening those at the same time, and then I pop over to, like you say, to the 3 and the 9, and then the 2 and the 7. You know what I mean? And so I'm doing 2 at a time, and it doesn't take long to sit there and spin those
yeah,
back
but
down.
at the
To
same
me,
time I get, and I see that's the difference. Instead of 12/6, 3/9, you
it's
can
doing it
do
all at
all of them at
once.
one. Yeah, and I think that's because remember, in a performance, now me growing up in church, having these crises and emergency catastrophes where you go through a head at a on the fun song, it's kind of crazy because if you have those experiences a lot, that actually does kind of. Now I know it's not gonna sound pristine, no. But at least that part of getting the head off and on, like that's the that's the intense part, really. That's
No, I
the
know what
that's
you mean.
the
I know what you mean.
yeah,
I can, and like I say, I guess the only way I could really figure it out is to time it, is to sit there and put on a
Setting the
stop clock as
stage.
soon as you start and just undo this thing. Because that, like I said, that has been the one thing to me that just skips in my mind. Like, how much time is it really going to save me? And from my perspective, if I'm in a performance and I pop ahead, chances are, first of all, I've never ever ever broken a head in a performance, with the exception of one snare head, and it had been weakened. You know what I mean? And that was the only time it's ever happened to me. But luckily for me, it was a resonant side head. So, and by the time I even noticed, because the venue was so loud, it didn't even matter at that point. We just finished and we were done, and and I just said something, and they were like, I thought that sounded kind of weird, but really, I've never popped a head right then. However, if that does happen, you know what I mean, especially with a snare, which I think it's more likely to happen. I'm gonna have a snare right there, or I a lot of times play with a side snare, so I have a second snare right there. So if it's right then and it's like, hey, there's no time to change a head right now, I'm either gonna lean back and grab that spare, or I'm just gonna pull my side snare over and start using it as my main snare. And then once we get to a break or after the performance, then I'm going to deal with the broken head. And even like right now, if I popped a head during a set, I could make it through the rest of that set and then change it in the break. And if you give me 15 minutes, I've got no problem changing a head to the traditional way in 15 minutes. You know what I mean? And
But
your break is going to be
15
at least that.
minutes?
If you're doing like a 4-hour kind of, gig where you're playing, you know what I mean? 15 minutes is no time. I can get a head on and off, and tuned in that.
I guess I look at peace of mind in it in a sense because one issue I still have is I've been trying to learn how to tune my drums for 10 years now, and I still feel like I'm such a novice.
As a tuning it.
I have
I
such
feel you.
I have such a hard time doing it. It's the peace of mind of knowing everything's even, that it's all set up. Like I don't really look at it for the I'm gonna save time because I don't play gigs like that, and I sure as hell never break drums. Princess hands over here, but I still never break. I never break my drums, and I never have the issue of needing to change things on the spot. But can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
Sorry, I just had a call pop in and it cut the audio on me. I've never had the issue of needing to change heads on the spot, but it's more of wanting to try new things out, wanting to change my heads more often, having more drums that I want to play with, and I just want to experiment with heads, and I want to experiment with tunings, but I never do it because I don't even want to go down that road and screw up any chance of not having my drums sound like how Jamie and Jovan tuned it a couple months ago. So I don't play around at all. And
Well, I just got to say this. I just got to say this to stop you there, and I'm sure Jamie would agree with me. But the only way that you get to that point is by not being afraid to play with your drums.
of
Like you
course,
can't
I
screw it up that
understand.
bad.
It's true. This is
It's
true.
like
This is
how
true.
did we learn, right? I mean, by trial and error. I was like, I did this, I
Yeah.
did that, I tried it high, I tried it low. You know what I mean? And eventually, we came into something that we like to call our tuning system, kind of. Because I'd like to think that
Right.
all of us drummers, maybe it's kind of similar, but we all kind of have our own take on how we do it. And
True. True. True.
that's the only way to kind of get that is just by playing around. I mean, what are you going to hurt? A $7 head? If it busts, it busts. You buy a new one. You know.
Yeah. 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 I mean, it is a. You have to touch the thing. You have to feel it. You have to figure your way through. You have to listen to. You have to, all this stuff. And it's amazing. You know, they're like even what you guys were saying, being tuners or having to come up like tuning drums or the old school way of doing things. It just kind of like makes you see how stuff. I mean, of all the stuff we're talking about, technology is really really moving and traveling, and it's great ideas, and then there's ideas that just like there's microwave ideas, and not to say they're bad or
Microwave
good, but
ideas.
there's
They were
great.
quick.
Yeah, they were great. It's
It was a
almost
quick idea.
it's what do you want? What do you want? The that good old oven, that radar range, or that microwave? You know, still we still ate, but it's just I guess it's just a concept. But yeah, there's some good stuff coming out here. Technology is definitely moving, but there's some good stuff out here.
Yeah,
There's
really.
cool
That big
products.
the big
Cool
the big
products.
fat the big fat snare idea just was like it's crazy. I mean, back in the day, you just beat the crap out of a drum or didn't tune it up, and it sounded like that big old dead snare. And I mean, they had bigger snares, like the big rocker snare would be like what 12 lugs and a 14 by 10 almost. Now you just put a little layer on top of it and let it hit. It just sounds like one of those big old fat bucket snares.
Yeah.
He's
So
built
I love
so
yeah,
much
I
around
love
that too. Super sick.
what's
yeah,
funny is I love what he's built around Big Fat Snare Drum and how he's building those mutes, and I like how he has variety. But you remember the Remos? They were just called. It was like they were a product, and it was just called Remos.
yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
Remo
I remember those.
apostrophe
Yeah,
S, and they
yeah,
were
yeah.
and they were almost the same thing. They were like tom mutes.
Remos and the Richie rings.
Yeah, you throw them on, and they kill some of the overtone and kind of deaden the drum. But
Yeah,
it's like all of a sudden you saw those Remos go away, and I never saw anybody using anything like it's like nope. Everybody got away from kind of deadening their drum sound, to kind of
yeah.
have that nice ring and that nice, a little bit more, sustain almost.
Sorry,
Uh,
guys. We're literally at LAX airport.
oh, you got a dip. Jamie's got a dip.
Yeah, man.
That's
I mean,
funny.
I knew we had. I knew I wanted to talk to you guys on the call. You know what I'm saying? This call is really cool to me. I love it. But I mean,
Hey, you got to go. You got to do your thing, man. I mean, hey, you got. I had to dip. I had to dip just last week because I had a rehearsal. So we understand, man. We understand. It's
yeah,
been a good
man.
chat. It's been a great chat.
No, I love you guys. I love the. I mean, we really gotta do some more because this podcast is really huge to me, and
Yeah, we
I
are,
really
man.
I really love it. But
No
yeah,
more,
yeah, we
no
gotta.
more hiccups, man. We got to set up now. I think that getting the getting the plug on you being on Skype and being able to call in really situates it for us because that's a big battle in doing these shows is just making sure that we can get together and that our schedules meet. So I'm actually super glad we finally made it happen today, especially to be able to talk about NAMM and
Yeah, right. This has been an
the
awesome
experience.
conversation.
Hell
I mean,
yeah.
I've almost like lost track of time and
So
everything.
did
It's
I.
been into this conversation, and that it's been good. I hope our
And
listeners enjoy it.
guys, I hate to spoil the party. I mean, it's really
No
good, but
worries.
I don't know if Skype picks up a lot of background noise, Richard. I don't know.
No, it's I couldn't
It
even
has. It's been
tell.
pretty
I couldn't even
good. It's
tell.
been
Yeah,
really good. Yeah.
it's been
I mean, I have literally been at the house putting suitcases in the car, driving through traffic. I've been to the ATM machine and gotten back in the car and here at LAX, literally.
I would have
But
never noticed. I I
I'm glad.
I I, I thought you were. I thought you were in one place that whole time. To be
yeah.
completely honest.
Surprise,
I'm, I'm,
listeners.
I'm glad it wasn't a disturbance. I'm glad, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Ah,
okay,
that's funny. That's funny.
yeah, man. But yeah,
Well, hey,
guys, yeah,
making moves, Jamie. You're making moves.
hey, man, we gotta make moves. We gotta make moves. Can't stand still. We gotta keep it moving.
That's right.
Not
That's right.
stopping, not stopping. Yeah, man. We'll make sure that, like I said, moving forward, our listeners can count on Jamie being on shows and the dynamic starting to expand. It's gonna be good. We've being at Nam was great. I know you said you just got so much done. I imagine your networking was insane, and I think that it was one of the best decisions going there because we are bringing on so many. I probably booked like 30 shows from Nam alone. Our calendar is like ripped apart right now, so I look forward to a lot of the experiences we're going to be able to have and this journey that we get to make over the next year. 2017 is going to be amazing for all of us.
Yeah. We're gonna have some
Amazing,
fun. So we're gonna have some fun.
amazing, amazing, amazing.
So I think it's getting about time to wrap this episode up. We've covered a lot of good points, a lot of great products that we got to run into at NAMM. I was excited. I got to see, like I said, I got to run into a lot of our past podcast guests. I got to run into a lot of companies that we've gotten a chance to connect with. Stick Twirl. I got to see Don and Matt. Say what's up to them. I got to meet Rami from A&F. Buddy from Buddy Love. It was just incredible. Chris from Big Fat Snare Drum. Everybody connected on such a deep personal level. It was just a good day. Good day. So big shout out to everybody. Everybody got to meet. Big shout out to Joey Bones, man. He really played. I would call him like chaperone, man. He walked me around, got me to shake, introduced me to everybody. It was a really cool vibe. I love when someone can really put effort into being, hospitable and, playing a good host in a sense. And it takes a lot of personality to do that. So shout out to him. Shout out to Gary getting to hang out with us that day. Got me a couple beers. It was pretty sweet. And I was floating all day, man. It was a great day.
And it just pisses me off. I wasn't able to be there, man. It sounds like so much fun, and I wasn't there.
Stop playing shows. Shit.
Hey, gotta make that money. Gotta make that money.
Yeah, I'm not blaming that. Get paid.
That's right. Well, all right, guys. Jamie, it was an awesome talk. Richard, it was
Always
fun
a
as
pleasure.
usual.
Always a pleasure, guys.
Yeah, and I think everybody will get a lot out of the show. We definitely have a lot of interesting things we talk about. Product and just so many different things are spoke about in this episode. So
yep,
good stuff.
Yeah, there'll be a full write up. Big shout out to Josh Bonner. He's been taking care of the Drummers I Like show notes for the last few weeks, and I'll tell you what, between Kevin and I having to really flip flop on making sure we got quality show notes done. I got to give him a shout out, man. He has just went above and beyond, and he's been a severely strong team member. So big shout out to Josh for making sure that these show notes are thorough, strong, and getting you guys to the points of the shows that you want to find fast and quick. And yeah, big shout out to the rest of the team. And if you haven't yet, you need to head over to Instagram right now. You need to follow us at Drummers I Like. It's the same handle on Twitter at Drummers I Like. I'm in Facebook.com/at Drummers I Like. And if you want to find us on podcast apps anywhere, you can. Kevin, you want to let us know let them know where they can find us?
Man, they can find us on iTunes, on Google Play Music, on Stitcher. You can go directly to the site at drummersilike.net, and you can actually listen to the show right there. Any of your favorite third-party podcast apps, you can find us if you search for us on there. And the more important thing, too, is every single one of those places that I just mentioned have some sort of place for you to leave comments and reviews, mainly reviews, on the show. We want to know what you guys think. You know what I mean? If you're on our page, you can leave it something in the comments, or I mean, you know, even if you're just listening on our page, and you can email us just to tell us what you think. But we need your feedback. And the more of you that we get feedback from, that we know how to make this show the best that we can for you guys. So that's kind of our intention. So let us know. Give us a review. Helps people find us easier. Helps us get the best product that, you know, we can get out for you guys. So, and that's what it's about.
Yeah, and after your review, you need to head drummersilike.net/subscribe and subscribe so that you don't have to go searching for all of his content. We will send it right to your email address. Make it nice and easy and a nice bow and sweet little box full of DIL content. So Kevin, Dan, thanks for letting them know. Thanks for being on the show. Thanks for your time tonight. Jamie, thank you for making time, and I'm so excited for the future. I look forward to next week's show and everything we got coming, guys. Thank you.
Absolutely,
thank you,
gentlemen.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, man. Look up. It's Drummers I Like or nothing, y'all. Stay tuned.
Awesome, guys. Everyone have a great night. We'll talk to you next week.
We'll see you.
Cool deal. All right.
Good night.